Hi, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of the Next Level Women Show. I have an amazing lineup for you today, and you are in for a treat. I have three lovely ladies, successful ladies in their various businesses, and we're going to learn how they've created success. Welcome to the show, ladies.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Hi, so happy to be here.
Me as well. Thanks
Fantastic.
for having me.
Awesome. Okay, I I want us to start with introduction. So you're gonna tell us your name, what you do, and tell us how you got to where you are today. I'm gonna start with Lani, and then Yoanella, and then Britt. Over to you, Lani.
Right. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. But I'm Lani Shaw, and I am a federal government attorney. I've been an attorney for 20 years, working with my agency. And last year, I also launched my own business, Coaching with Lani. I'm an executive certified coach, and I primarily help professionals, particularly women, but all professionals, move into their next leadership level. Prepare for promotion, get positioned for that, gain clarity around what it is they want to do in their next steps. So that is what I do.
Amazing. And we're gonna dive into everything about your business in a minute. But Yoanella, introduce yourself and tell us what you do.
Hi, my name is Yoanella. I'm Dominican Spanish and I currently live in Canada. I have lived in 5 countries. Um, I am an entrepreneur that helps people that would like to move abroad and start a new journey or just work from home remotely 100%. My journey started 14 years ago. When my life changed, I was incorporated. My background is in travel and tourism. I also have a master's in marketing. And when my ex-husband lost his job, I started thinking how I could use my skills, helping people doing marketing online. And I realized that it was so easy. And like a lot of people didn't have the knowledge that you could work from home remotely. For example, I was living in Spain and I had clients in US, in Australia, in Spain. Then I moved to Punta Cana. When I divorced with my kids, I was able to provide for them, working from home all the time, having my own schedule around them, going to the beach one day, and then maybe working a whole Sunday. And I think it's a message that still needed to be spread because a lot of people don't know that you can work from home. And now with all these mandates to go back to the office, I think it's very needed for a lot of people that feel um, like they are kind of trapped in these corporate jobs where you don't know how to use your skills for something different.
Oh my gosh, you are speaking my language. Like I can imagine, like my mom still now doesn't understand, and like her brain cannot fathom how I'm able to make money from home, right? So I know for us, like we see it as, oh, it's easy. Like we see it like it's second nature now. But if we think back to just a few years ago, it was practically unheard of for people, especially women, to be able to make good money in your own home. So I love that you stress that, and we're going to come to talk about your experience in building the business you have today. So thank you so much for mentioning that.
Thank you.
Over to you, Britt.
Awesome. Hi, I'm Britt Holmes. I'm the founder of Merit Media Inc. We are an advertising agency. So we do ads pretty much on every platform, but a lot of the times we're spending our time with Facebook, Instagram, Google, and LinkedIn. My background kind of scans where I did a decade of corporate, worked my way up to the top, was working 16 to 18 hours a day, 6 days a week, 2 kids under two, and it just was not really working anymore. Basically, did a little bit of a rage quit, had a seizure the next day, just of my body being like, what the heck is just happening? And then I started Merit Media about 4 years ago. And we predominantly help health and wellness brands as well as e commerce businesses with small budgets get online with advertising and really scale their businesses. And I'm also located in Canada.
What? Oh my goodness. Lani, that's a sign for you to move to Canada.
It must be a sign. I guess I'm the only US based entrepreneur on this call, but that's okay.
I love. Okay, so Lani, I'm gonna go around and I want you to walk us through your entrepreneurship journey. How did you land on the niche you've chosen? Um, were you born an entrepreneur, or at what point in your life did you realize that you wanted to go down this route?
It is an interesting story because working for a very large employer, the federal government, I was the person that said, I never want to be an entrepreneur. That is not for me. That is for all the other people that want to do it. My sister's an attorney. She has her own law practice, does very well as an entrepreneur, but I said that was never my lane. So I actually had gone through a process of being coached within my organization because I had felt stuck before and then didn't know how to navigate, sort of my next promotion. And then when I was promoted, worked with another coach because I'm like, okay, what now? Now that I'm promoted, what's the 90-day plan? What do I do next? And at some point I thought, this is something that I would like to learn and do for other people. And at the early part of last year, I went through the process of getting certified as a coach, going through the training, gaining customers and clients. But it was sort of at that point, I was thinking, oh, this is just sort of a side passion. This is something that I do in my free time. But at some point, perhaps last summer, I said, this is probably a little bit more than that. Let me get serious about that. This is actually a thriving business that can be nurtured and move forward. And so went through the process of, getting my LLC, getting things set up properly, and working on visibility so that people could know that I, was available as a coach, started taking on additional speaking engagements, talking about the services that I offer, doing workshops, things of that nature. And the business has grown legs of its own and just taken off. And so it's now something that I'm just very happy that I did not let the idea of, okay, there is some fear associated with being a business owner stop me in that process. And every step of the way, I didn't know what the next step might be. But I did complete some small business certification training through my county. That was really instrumental in helping me. How do you navigate county contracts? How do you, make sure that you're properly set up? How do you think about engagement? How do you think about visibility, branding? Those types of tips sort of have helped me to navigate the space. And it's just been a really good experience of growth and learning more about myself as not just, that I'm an attorney, but now I have this additional skill set that I've been able to cultivate.
I think your story is incredible and really inspiring. And I love that you said that you were willing to take action, even though you didn't really understand all of entrepreneurship at the beginning. You were willing to figure it out as you were going along. You didn't wait until you had your ducks in a row or everything was perfect. So thank you so much for sharing that. And I'm going to come back in the next round for you to talk about visibility marketing and sales. And I want to hear your story because you are doing incredibly well, and especially on Instagram. So we're going to come back to that. So first, I'm going to go to Yoanella. Tell us your story. How did you land on this niche?
So my story, it's really unique. I'm a mixed race child. I was always like top of the class. I went to college in England with a full scholarship, and at the time that was not common. And I moved to Spain when I was 14 years old, and being a people of color in Spain at the time was really hard. I had a lot of issues with my identity. So when I moved to England, it was like a totally different world. It was like they were ahead there, and I didn't feel like the outlier. I felt like it was actually really cool there to be Dominican or to speak Spanish. And the experience at the time, because it was like internet was just started, it was just mind blowing. And I met people from all over the world, and it just changed my mindset. But I did want to work in corporate. I went to college to do travel and tourism, and I landed a job in February in Spain when I was going to graduate in June. So I moved back to Spain, but to a different place where my family was. And I was working in corporate for 13 years. I was traveling 50% of the time for 13 years straight, which was my dream. I got to do amazing things. I went to Powwow in New York. I've been sitting in a table with Colin Powell. I've been in events like they closed the Statue of Liberty for us, or the Wax Museum. I've been in a lot of cities in Europe. I done a lot of crazy things, like 7 flights in 2 days, being in so many different hotels and venues. And for a long time, this was what I wanted, and I was very happy. I had a successful husband. We had the big house, the full-time nanny, the private school. I had a daughter. And then at some point we wanted to look for another baby, and that was a turning point for me, because up to that point I always had what I wanted in the moment, and I needed to learn a lesson. I got pregnant very fast, but I kept losing. I had 3 miscarriages, and this was a lesson in me for life, because my like my values changed, and a lot of things that fulfilled me before, they weren't there anymore. So my ex-husband got an opportunity to move to California as an expatriate, and we took the opportunity. I moved to California when I was 7 months pregnant. And I also noticed that my daughter needed more time with me. I was always traveling. It was hard to be with her, and she was struggling, like her mental health was not the same. So when I had my baby, I decided that I wanted to keep working, keep doing things, but we would be with my kids. And I noticed since a very young age that there was something different about my son. And a lot of people say, no, it's okay. He's super smart, but he is autistic. He's an autistic individual, and he is very smart, but he has some kind of different needs, and he has different to my daughter. He never see me working in an office. I'm always at
Mm,
home, and I can do my schedule around him, and that has been amazing. And I think that the way that I was raised, I didn't know that was a possibility. And for
mm,
me, this is a message that is very important. And it's not that you have to do everything. I don't believe in like a woman has to be working at home with a baby in their hands, like they need childcare. But it is an option for you to work around your children. So the thing that actually made me pivot like totally was that my ex-husband lost his job. He was a CEO in corporate. He was making a lot of money. And when he lost his job, he kind of lost his whole identity. And I decided I had to, work and do things and use my skills to um to bring income to the family while I was still at home. And I was just very good at searching for opportunities. I was lucky that I could speak English and like do things in Spanish and in English, and just open my mind. And I started my business. And sometimes when you are doing business, you see you're gonna do something, and then sometimes your customers tell you what is it that you have to do. They ask you for different things. And I remember that I started making money so fast, and sometimes I had too much work I couldn't take. So get other people to help me. And I remember I was collaborating with someone in Argentina, someone in Cuba, and they were doing work for me, subcontract, and collaborating with other people. I think it's also very important to help other people in your journey, even if those people cannot help you back. I have the belief that God, or whatever you believe in, it gets back to you. You always have to help people. Networking has been amazing for me. So that was the way that I started my journey. But my life have been so crazy because it's always been like different personal changes. After some time in US, we have to move back to Spain because his company decided to close, and we had an e-visa that was attached to his job. So we moved back to Spain, and I was working on my own for over 2 years. He couldn't find a job or something, and then we decided to move to Punta Cana because I'm half Dominican, and I had my business that I could take with me everywhere. And we thought that was gonna help him get out of his depression or his panic. But almost right after we moved to Dominican, um, we decided to divorce very amicably, and he went back to Spain, and I stayed on my own in Dominican, which was my country, but it was actually like a new country because my family wasn't there. I had an uncle like 3 hours away, but I started over, and I now looking back realize like how strong we are. Like we don't
mm,
know how strong we are because I come from a family where we are very protected. My parents were very loving, my siblings, but I was in my own. And the moment you really need to, like, I had to pay private schools, I had to pay for the nanny, I had to pay for my car, my groceries, everything. You really get focused on getting out of your comfort zone on doing things you never thought you could do before.
mm. Wow, that is truly profound and so true. We have so much capacity that we don't even realize what we can do. But sometimes when we are pushed to the corner, then all of those, I want to say, strength comes out, and we're like, who's this girl? So I love that story you just shared. So incredible about how tenacious and resilient you are. And I'm so glad you are in this conversation today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Over to you, Britt. Talk to us about your journey. How did you choose this niche?
Yeah, so it kind of chose me. And that's probably the best way to put it. So basically, when I went to university, I went for global development studies and I basically wanted to save the world. Once I graduated, there wasn't really many opportunities for people that had no experience. So I ended up going back to college after I finished university and did some marketing. And I was like, oh, I'm going to get into branding because that's cool and fun and all of that. But I was finding it very difficult to find a job in branding. But I was pretty good at digital marketing. So I was getting hired from some of the instructors at the school that I was at to do digital marketing for their clients outside of the school. And I ended up from there just getting hired right into agency life, where basically I wrote my last exam on the Friday, moved to like 3 hours to the city, kind of set up my life there, and started working that Monday in corporate. And it was just like the standard climb the corporate ladder, check off all the boxes that you're supposed to in life, like get the partner, get the job, get the house, have the kids, kind of all of that stuff. So I was lucky in that I experienced working with tons of big brands globally, worked in 12 different languages, like all these different platforms, pretty much any brand that you can think of, I've pretty much worked with. Just over the years, I've clocked over 80,000 hours in advertising, which is ridiculous, but it's just from the years of overworking. Climbed my way up to the top, and I was like, oh, I don't like this. Like, I was a VP of this New York City advertising agency, and I was like, oh, I've made it now. Now I can finally, spend more time with my kids. And that didn't happen. So I was like, something's got to change. Like, I can't continue to like miss out on my kids' lives because of work. Um, so yeah, basically did the old rage quit and started this business. I'm lucky that my family, they're all entrepreneurs, and similar to Lani, I was the kind of person that was like, no corporate or like, that 9 to 5 job. It's safe, secure, there's benefits. Like, I'm not messing up with that. Like, my family's they're all entrepreneurs, and it's like evenings, weekends, whatever. And I was like, that's not for me. I like the security. But then I was kind of always finding that I would work at a company, I would hit like a ceiling where I'd be like, we can make all these improvements, and like, this is wrong, or could be whatever, right? And I continually would like try to elevate it and get stuck at a point, and then I'd be like, okay, time to go to a different one and like try to elevate that one. And then eventually the realization came after the rage quit that I was like, my body physically like could not do another corporate interview. Like, I was like, I can't do it. Like, I'd get off after and like just have like so much anxiety and all of that stuff. And I was like, okay, I will give myself 3 months. If I can make up what I was making in my corporate salary within a 3 month span, I will stick with it. And if I don't after the 3 months, I will go back and start working a regular job. So needless to say, 4 years in, did not go back, which is very exciting. So that's kind of where things have gone, and then just continually trying to better my life and kind of live out where I'm supposed to be in the world.
Wow. Wow, that's incredible. Incredible, incredible. I love how you listen to your nervous system. Like your nervous system like literally pull the brakes on you.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's what it takes for us to kind of recalibrate and go back to ourselves inward and ask ourselves, what do I really want my life to be? What, like, at some point, we realize it's not just the money, right? It's not just the dollars and cents. Our mental health, our sense of fulfillment, our sense of joy, purpose in life matters a lot more than dollars and cents. So, I can relate to your story, and I celebrate what you've created and the success you continue to create in your business. Thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thank you.
I want to go to visibility, marketing, and sales. Um, Lani, I'm going to start with you. How did you figure it out? How did you grow your visibility, your marketing, and your sales? Because I we're connected on Instagram, and I see how you show up. Your posts get incredible engagement. How did you get to this point?
I never wanted to do this. Something about posting on social media gives people this ick feeling. And when I started last year thinking, okay, I'm going to be a coach, I did not understand the social media aspect of what that meant. I didn't understand that so many coaches are on LinkedIn, Instagram, now Threads, Facebook, what have you, YouTube, talking about their services, promoting, what their offers, things like that. I had no idea. I had no idea about Facebook ads, Instagram ads. I had to figure that out. And I knew that if I wanted to be a coach that had clients and had a clientele, I had to put myself out there. That meant I had to be visible. And so I've kind of just felt my way through it. I've never really been a person to post as much as I post now. But in the span of a year, I am, I've got over 100 YouTube videos. I am, on Instagram promoting myself, speaking, talking about different issues that are important to professionals, trying to do the same thing on Threads. And I did not have a lot of clarity about what this meant and how to do it. But it's the same thing that I tell my clients. Action brings you to clarity. And then additional clarity brings you to more action. So it's just the cycle. And so I said, if this is what I'm going to tell my clients, then I have to be the first guinea pig. And so this is how I've built my social media presence, just posting about things that I think people want to hear about, reading the comments when people say that things resonate with them. People will see me out and they will say, whether it's a sorority sister or someone that I went to law school with or someone that I went to college with or know in the community, they'll say, post XYZ really, I felt that. I understood what you were talking about, or that kind of resonated with me. And so I take that and just continue to build upon what I'm doing. I don't want to be the person that's just posting because I think something is important. I want it to be something that's going to help other people, that they're going to gain something from. I recognize that personally as someone that went through transition, being a federal government employee last year with the change of administrations, that other people were going through that as well. And not just because they were perhaps a government employee, but because they were feeling the things that were happening within the country, and that they were may have been impacted by recent layoffs or reorganizations. And I wanted to capture all of that and the things that my clients were telling me. I wanted to be able to say, okay, I'm on the pulse of this, let me post. And that's kind of how it's grown. And I didn't expect it to, but very happy that I've been able to engage the way that I am, that I'm visible, because there really is no way that with the number of coaches that are out here, whether they're certified or not, there's really no way that people are going to miraculously just, find you unless you have this online presence. And that's something that I had to grow into, because I have so many people that were in my coaching cohort that will not do it. And they're stuck at one client. They're wonderful coaches, but that's just the difference. And I'm thinking, if I did not like it, I have to find a way to step outside that box. I'll step outside my comfort zone to find a comfort area for me. It does not have to be posting 6 times a day, but what am I personally comfortable with? And so that's how it has gone.
I love that so much. So you were so willing to figure all of it out on as you were going, like you didn't wait for everything to be perfect. Also, you were willing to be uncomfortable, right? Because if we weren't uncomfortable, like success wouldn't come, right? People who are maybe hiding on from social media. Now, I'm not saying social media is the only way to grow a business, right? There are other ways to grow a business, but you have chosen social media and it's working incredibly well for you. Talk us through your process. How do you've discussed your visibility, but tell us how you then close a client. What's your process? Do you have a sales call? And what if you have a sales call, how do you tell people your prices? And how did you get comfortable with asking for what you think your service is worth? The reason I ask this is because many women struggle with asking for money and telling people, oh, this is how much my service is, and being owning that worth, right? So how did you go through that process, and how did you get to the point where you are attracting clients and you are constantly bringing money into your business?
That's a great question. So I will say that I don't do as many complimentary discovery calls now as I did last year. I was very happy to do them last year because I was in this process of needing 100 hours to get certified. And so I would coach anybody on any topic. I have much more limited time now because I have more clients. And there's some data that will tell you that a person needs 18, 19 touch points before they decide to work with you. And so people will get those touch points through social media. They'll get them through being on my email list. And then one day something will click with them and they'll say, I need to talk to Lani about coaching. And they'll reach out. And I don't pressure anybody. I just think that the timing has to be right, you know, that you have to be able to see the value in coaching, because coaching is an experience, but it can be draining for the coach as well because, you know, I'm an introvert. So now I'm talking to multiple people, helping them to gain their clarity, asking them these questions. But you have to set your prices and you have to be comfortable setting your prices. And that is something that I actually did work with a business coach because I didn't understand that even before I got certified as a coach, I had value because I had been a 20-year, you know, leader within my organization. And that is something that being able to understand high pressured environments, being able to help people navigate those. I'm very skilled at helping people navigate pressure spaces and helping people position themselves for promotion, and helping people to figure out strategic, you know, things that they can do to advance their career and how to, you know, work on their leadership presence. And so even before I became a coach, I had value that I was going to bring. So I started with that as ground zero. The, you know, getting through the 100 hours of coaching, passing the exam, and now being a certified coach, that's just icing on the cake. And I have to value my time. I have to value the resources that I have available. And I have to, you know, state my price. And if people are willing to pay, they're willing to pay. If not, then I understand there may be another coach for them. And so, you know, that is something that as women, and especially as I will say a Black woman, that, you know, can be a struggle point for a lot of people because you don't want to offend anybody by your prices, but you also want to credit the value that you have. And so you just really have to find this value, this middle ground that will say, this is what I'm worth, and this is, you know, what my coaching services cost.
Oh my gosh, I love that so much. And one of the reasons I asked that question is because some of my clients right now, this is exactly what they're struggling with, owning that price and not kind of caving on a sales call. So many of them, because as their coach, I watch their sales calls, right? So at the point where they mention their price, like you could see their face just like it's almost like they are wishing to end the Zoom call, right? So thank you so much for sharing your experience. And I know that will inspire so many women to own their price and to learn how to say the price and be comfortable with the reaction they get from the other side. So thank you so
Well,
much for
you know,
sharing.
and Joy, I will say that's why it's also important to have different price points because people might be able to work with you on a different level. So, you know, digital products are very popular right now. And so if a person can't afford a 4-digit, you know, coaching offer or a 3-digit coaching offer, they might still be able to get value from the fact that there's a digital product available. And I also offer monthly workshops. I did a goal setting workshop in December, hoping to do something in February around interview skills. And so that is something that people can have access to me as a coach on a larger scale because there are 20 other women or 30 other folks in the room, but still have an idea of what it is to work with me at that price point. And then at some point, if they are available to move into one-on-one or even group coaching, it does not have to be, you know, this is the one opportunity to work with this individual. There are many different ways to gain from coaching.
Absolutely. And yeah, I think the first entry point for most people for me is the YouTube channel. Everything is free, right? So I know you mentioned your YouTube channel as well. So as heart-centered women, we give stuff away for free, so that people don't get held back by financial limitations. So thank you so much for saying that. Over to you, Yoanella. I want you to tell us about visibility. How do you grow your visibility? How do you grow your sales through your marketing?
So for me, one of the things that have worked better is connections and networking. A lot of the clients that I have worked in the past, because right now I'm not working with people individually, has come through contacts or referrals or people that work with me and then they refer me. But when it comes to pricing, one thing that I learned the hard way is if someone cannot afford your product or like what you're offering, it's better not to work with them because it's very hard for someone to see the value because maybe they just can't afford it. And the way that I put it sometimes is like, we all want a handbag. Some people can afford a Chanel or a Louis Vuitton. I told one one client one time, it's like, there are Louis Vuitton doesn't go on sale. You want something cheaper, you can go to Michael Kors, you can go to Guess. You can, but you're gonna get that type of quality. And that's fine because the people that cannot afford and they just want to work with you, they're going to be the harder clients. They're going to be the ones that are going to give you more trouble. And at the end, both of you can end up frustrated. So it's better to also recognize what are the type of people that you can work with. It's also very important if you are like a solo entrepreneur to get paid for your service ahead of time is possible, or at least 50%. Because for me, I don't like to be chasing people for money. And once you're delivering a service, you need to get paid because I mean you're working for money at the end of the day. And I think that's very important. With my new project, I recently started. I started with my social media on the 21st of December with the launching of my book, and I started YouTube just a couple of weeks ago, and I feel that I'm being successful. Yesterday, I posted a video about the Bad Bunny in the Super Bowl because it felt very close to me, to my culture, and to the things that I was sharing. But at the same time, I do some volunteering hours if I find a person that I think that have a lot of potential, and especially if they're immigrants or if they belong to a minority or and I see the potential, I'm willing to help with them for free. I have done that. I cannot do it all the time because I'm very busy. I have so many things going on, but this is something that I have done and I still willing to do. And I think it's great to, give back to people and especially to other women that need that push to be able to be where they want to be in life.
Yeah, I love that. I love that so much. So you mentioned networking as your way of being visible. Can you tell us how do you find the networking events to go to?
I don't go to too many network events. I might go to a couple in a spring, but I know that it has gone down a little, but I have actually found a lot of business in LinkedIn. Some people, they actually found me and they text me and they ask me about opportunities. Sometimes I find opportunities that are not good for me and then I pass it on to other people. And then those people, when they have an opportunity, they say, oh, I think this could work for you. I have developed relationship with people that I have worked in the past, maybe 10, 12 years ago. And we still keep in touch in Spain, in US, and like we keep like this trust and this connection, people that that they are reliable, and if they find opportunities for me, they let me know, or the other way around. I'm also very good at like looking for opportunities online, and sometimes I found things that I think this is not for me, I don't have the time, or the price is not right, but I'm gonna pass it on to someone else. And I think this way of like sharing the information and the opportunities also bring back opportunities to me.
That's incredible. So you're leading with quality relationships. I love
Yes.
that so much. Awesome. Over to you, Britt. Tell us, how do you do your visibility for your business? And then tell us your marketing and sales strategy.
For sure. So, in terms of visibility, I would say for the first little bit and at the beginning stages, it was more so just like tapping into familiar networks that I already had through my corporate life. And then from there, once I kind of figured out where my market fit was, then I started leaning into more like service partners and just making friends with people that do similar things to what I do, but don't necessarily offer the same services, and just really building in not even like partnerships, but more so like friendships, to the point where a lot of my peers will sell my services for me. Or if they see things on threads, they'll drop my name, or in Facebook groups, or connect via email. And I think that for me, coming from corporate where I feel like networking almost has like this bad connotation to it where you're like everyone's kind of just competing and trying to like be like I'm the best at this and that and whatever. I kind of changed my mindset on it and I was like I don't want anything from these people except for friendship. And like we're kind of all in this entrepreneurship world together. It can be lonely, it's overwhelming at times. The waves, the highs and lows are just so extreme that it's nice to know that you have other people that are kind of in it with you, even if they're not necessarily working for your business. So a lot of my visibility comes from just the social networking that I have done, whether it's, joining certain communities, going to events, this, that, and the other. But the reality is that I actually don't find that like in-person events are all that successful for me. Just because there's so many people there. It's still something I'm trying to navigate so that there's actually a benefit to it from a financial perspective, as opposed to just like right now, one of my business friends and I, what we've done is we've taken a step back this year in investing in coaching as well as events. Last year, we both spent about $16,000 on coaching and events, and there was a very low ROI on it. So instead, what we've done is we've handpicked people that we think, women that are in business, that are doing a great job, who we like what they stand for, who have spoken our names in rooms that we're not in. And we just host these small dinners. So it's like 8 to 10 women. We all get together. Everyone's like successful business, managing life outside of that. And we just get together and just not talk about business, but it's just like a sense of community that we've created. And from that, the women that are in that have connections, right? Like everybody has connections external to what you might see, just from that one person. So from that, I've used that as a really large referral source. Um, and then in terms of sales and marketing, one thing that I realized after I left corporate was that I actually don't have a problem in charging worth, because I grew up working with budgets where it was like, you're just casually managing a $50 million annual budget. So it's like the concept for me was actually kind of the opposite of understanding like not everybody is working with these ridiculously large budgets. And kind of what I did was, so that smaller businesses were still able to play online, was that we rejigged what was included in a monthly engagement for a client. So instead of them having weekly calls and reports and monthly this, that, and the other, what I found just in myself as well as my peers is like, we have enough people wanting stuff from us. There's enough meetings on our calendars. The people that I actually attract to work in our business want us to make it go away. And we solve that for them. We white glove it completely. Like there's obviously client inputs in terms of like the messaging and stuff like that. But for the most part, we make it go away for them. And we don't have monthly calls. We have like, you have full access to us via email, and that type of thing. But because what I did was I looked at all of the excess stuff that increases inflammation in retainers, and also drained me. I was diagnosed late with ADHD, and I'm like, how do I find a way where I can ebb and flow with my energy levels? I'm also a single mom, so it's like you never know who's getting home sick or whatever. But basically, eliminating these monthly calls allowed me more fluidity in my business to work with how I want to work, and fit my lifestyle better. So, we've just kind of done that. We ended up reducing our pricing is about 50% lower than any of my other competitors that have comparable experience. The team that I have 5 employees that work with me. Everybody has a minimum of 5 years corporate experience, which basically means that we are not testing on our clients' accounts. People, they know what they're doing when they walk into my clients, like into our clients' accounts. And that's kind of the value we bring. So our sales calls, we have a pretty good sale rate now, just because the word of mouth within, like we work with a lot of therapists and they're very well connected with each other. So if one's happy, then I ended up getting more and more and more. So, and same thing happens with e-commerce, where the results are extremely tangible. Like one of our clients, for every dollar that they spend on advertising, they make $30 from us. And this is like, they sell candles. So it's just like really, they call it they call advertising their money machine now. So I love that concept. But yeah, ultimately, we just exist to help more businesses to grow themselves. So through scaling, whether it's adding more employees or just selling more volume. And that's what we do.
I love that so much, so, so much. And as you were speaking, I was just thinking of all of our experiences, visibility, marketing, sales, how for three of you, so different the way you're growing your business, and yet you're creating successful businesses. And so the reason I love that is because we can all choose what works for us, right? So Lani's on Threads and Instagram, and she's killing it. Yoanella is using relationships. She's leading with quality relationships, and she's killing it. Britt is doing masterminds, even though you might not label that group you're in as a mastermind because you guys don't talk about businesses, but you've created a way that your business is growing and it fits with your personality, your lifestyle, your goals, your family structure. And I think that's what success is. For me, particularly, my success is the fact that I can take my daughter to school, pick her up from school, and not be worried about calling my boss and taking excuses or having to drive an hour, 30 minutes from where I live to go to downtown Toronto to be in that office. For me, that's success. And so I love that all of us, all four of us, have defined success for ourselves. And I hope that the listeners can take from that to say, I can create my own version of success and be extremely happy and proud of what I'm creating. So thank you all so much for sharing. For this next round, I want to hear specific to your expertise. So, Lani, you are an executive coach. Tell us the work you do and the people you work with.
I work with women that want to gain clarity. They're more than likely a little bit burnout where they are, feeling stuck, but know that they have so much to offer in terms of moving up in leadership. And from that, we position them for their next leadership promotion. It normally involves a three-step process of really gaining clarity on who they are in terms of their strengths, areas for improvement, understanding sort of the value that they bring. I want them to be able to clearly articulate their impact. So we work through that process. The second step mostly is enhancing their leadership presence. I want them to show up and to be more willing to speak up in meetings, to claim their ideas, to put forth creative ideas, to lead in a way that sort of challenges them and brings them outside their comfort zone. We talk about, the sponsors that they have, the folks that are going to speak their name in rooms when they're not there, the folks that are going to, say, let's let Lisa have this, amazing opportunity, things of that nature. And then lastly, I talk with them about how they can move forward with strategic intention, because I don't want anybody doing busy work, because busy work causes you to be burnt out. Busy work causes you to overwork. And so we're figuring out the opportunities that really align with what their next level looks like and making sure that they have systems in place to move forward. Because if you are burnt out now, when you take on that next leadership level, what do you think is going to happen? You're going to burn out again. So we're making sure that they have sustainable systems in place to really streamline their schedule. You look at, mid-level managers, and there are so many meetings. I'm thinking, how many of these do you really have to have? How many of these could be a meeting? How many of these could be something that you could send a member of your team to handle that, and then they come back with a recap or report? So we're really looking to streamline their calendars as well. And this is the work that I enjoy because it just makes a difference. I believe that when a woman bets on herself and says that I'm willing and ready to take on this next level, that makes a huge, change for her home life, for her family, for her community. And so it really is about empowerment for me when I'm working with women and professionals in this manner. And so I get so excited about it. I had two of my first clients to get multiple offers last year and also promotions. And it is just amazing to see how they are thriving. And now we're in the space where now that they've been promoted, and the second client having an offer with a firm that she's really excited about. Now we're moving into how are you articulating your value, and how are you working on your 90-day plan your 6-month plan so that you can move forward. So it's not just a matter of me helping you get this promotion or move into this position that aligns with your goals. Now we're looking at strategically, how do we move you forward and how are you thriving? And so there's just support at all levels of that for me to assist them as their coach.
That's incredible. I love that so much. So, ladies listening right now, multiple people are listening and they're asking, how can I work with you? What's the next step? So, can you tell us?
If you are interested in working with me, go to my website, www.coachingwithlani.com, and submit an inquiry. I will follow up with every opportunity. There's opportunities for one-on-one coaching. My signature program is about getting women promoted, but there's other coaching that I provide as well. So if you're in the spot where you're thinking you need clarity, you want to do some goal setting, feel free to reach out to me, and I would love to make it happen.
Love, love, love that so much. So, ladies, all of those links will be in the show notes. The reason I'm saying ladies is because all of my listeners are ladies. Okay. I'm going to grab all of those links. They'll be in the show notes. Thank you so much, Coach Lani. Over to you, Yoanella.
So right now, I'm concentrated on promoting my book, Home Sweet Across the World. And this is a practical guide for people that want to become a nomad, move abroad, start a new life where in another country, or just traveling. And also for people that don't want to move, but they want to work remotely 100% of the time, to help them get out from their corporate job and how to transfer those skills to be able to work remotely 100%, either if they want to stay in corporate or if they want to start with a totally new venture. Examples of people that I have worked in the past, I had worked with a couple of doctors that wanted to live in another country, Spanish doctors that have moved to UK. I have worked with HR professionals. I have worked with IT engineers, all sorts of different profiles. And it's very interesting because sometimes people that have jobs that you can imagine where they are so smart, they have studied a lot, but it's very hard for them to move into this practical side of how to move to, for most people, right? If you have lived in the same country, you don't know where to start. And sometimes for professions that are in trades, there are a lot of opportunities, for example, for electricians, for truck drivers to move to countries like Australia or New Zealand. And there are people that don't know because of their origin, they can claim some European citizenships. Like there are people from Philippines that are entitled to claim Portuguese citizenship. There are people that have Italian descent that can claim Italian citizenship. If you have one citizenship from the European community, you can move and work freely in any of those countries. There are some countries where being a sponsor for work is very easy. Canada is not one of them. It's very funny because most of us live in Canada, and I don't know why all this message. A lot of people believe that moving to Canada for work is very easy, which is not. The process is complicated, but there are ways to do it. And if you are willing and if you do have those conditions to move here, you can do it. It's also very important for people to understand that sometimes you need to upgrade your skills to be where you are in life. I think it's important to dream and to believe in yourself and to be inspired, but also it's very important to do the work to be where you want to be. And it's also important to invest in ourselves. A lot of people are willing to spend $1,000 to go to a concert, but if you tell them, okay, you want a few sessions of coaching, it's $1,000, they don't want to pay for it. And investing in yourself, it's very important, especially as a woman. If you want to progress in life, I have a coach in the past, and it was amazing. It was one of the best experiences that I had, because a coach is, I think, is something like everybody knows how to diet. If you want to lose weight, you know what you have to do. But you get a nutritional coach or you get a trainer at the gym, this is when you get the results. So sometimes to get where you want to be, you have to invest in yourself. And there are a lot of tools available, but people want the things like overnight. If you also very important thing, if you want to work from home, it's to commit to why you want to work from home. A lot of people believe that working from home is you get paid to be typing there. It's not like that. If it's a good job, it can be stressful. You're gonna have to put in the hours. You do save the commute, and you are going to have more flexibilities, but you still have to put in the time, and you need to have the abilities that those people are looking for. And for me also, as a minority, for people of colors or minorities, for women in general, I think it's very important to be prepared. You have to be so prepared that they cannot deny you the chances. So like invest in yourself, do the coaching, study, ditch the Netflix and anything that is like garbage in your life to be able to be where you want to be, like to have an easy life, you need to do hard things. And Britt was mentioning something before, and for me, it's important. Like you have to put yourself out there. But this year, I'm willing to get rejected. I'm gonna knock on the doors. I'm gonna put myself out there. I have worked in social media before, but I never put my face there. And I seen something that I mean, we are people and we're vulnerable, but I'm doing it, and it's important for the process to happen. It's just to put yourself out there over and over. I cook really well, but I started cooking when I was 25. I couldn't cook. So the way you become a great cook is cooking. You want to do something, you have to put in the hours, day in and day out, and the things are going to happen. And if people want to work with me, my website is not ready yet, but you have my email and all my social media. I'm going to send you my YouTube as well. And I'm already sharing a lot of information that it's free and available, but I'm also willing to work with people on a one basis. The message that I want to spread is that right now, with how global the world is, there is like, you can do anything, you can mostly move anywhere, and you can start over. It doesn't matter if you are 40, if you are 50, you can move with your kids anywhere. My son, this is a fun fact. He is 14 years old and he has 4 different passports. Some people believe it's a lie, but it's true. He is a Spanish Dominican, and this is like because of my origin and his dad. But he was born in US, so he got his US citizenship. And because we moved to Canada and he did the process with me, he is also Canadian.
Oh my gosh, I love that so much. And yeah, to your point about investing in ourselves, and I think you said it so nicely, is the best investment we can do in ourselves. On your point about how difficult it is to move to Canada, I want to encourage people to apply. We want more people to come, okay? So
I
it
do
might
want
be
people to come, but it's just important because sometimes people hear a message. Sometimes people come, oh, you're in Canada. Like, I want to. There are people that don't have the information and they actually buy a ticket and they show up at the airport. What are you going to do here? I want to work. And they're going to be shipped back. So it's important to have the facts.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much. Okay, over to you, Britt. Britt, I want you to tell us your expertise and tell us how people can work with you.
For sure. Before I do that, Yoanella, one thing that I was thinking of when you were talking, if you're like, I just want to start getting my face out there more on social media, but you also mentioned that you enjoy cooking. You could also set your camera up while you're cooking and just talk.
Yeah.
And I was like, you should totally do that because that's also very entertaining. So how people can work with us. So I do discovery calls. They're available on our website. And I don't do contact forms or anything like that. All of our pricing is transparent. It's on our website as well. So I encourage if anyone does want to look into running advertising for their businesses, our model is done for you. White glove. Basically, we make it go away. Our pricing is affordable, and it also is impactful. So oftentimes people think, oh, it's cheap, then it's not that good. But with the amount of hours and experience that my team has clocked, we don't really have unsuccessful campaigns simply because you don't just set it and forget it in advertising. It's a matter of continually working at it to make it better. So having the right eye in the accounts is what really drives the performance. But yeah, so our pricing online, discovery calls are also available to be booked directly into my calendar on our website. And yeah, that's kind of the gist of it. There's probably more I could go into, but I also feel like previously I've already mentioned a lot of who I work with and what we do.
I love that so much. So, Britt, can you mention your website just for someone who's driving right now so that they can lock it in their brain?
Yeah, so our website is meritmedia.com, MERIT, media, MEDIA.com.
Awesome. And I think at some point, I will definitely be looking into your services because even now my business is growing organically, but to get to my multiple seven figures, I know at some point I'm gonna have to use ads. So I will be coming to you.
Yeah, for
I will be
sure. We
coming
always,
too.
yeah, everyone come
Gonna
on
manifest
over.
it today.
I'll tell you the prereqs before I really would even take a client because there's a lot of people in our industry that'll simply just take your money and take advantage of you. So we're not in that mind space. So what I always say to prospective clients is have a social media presence where it's active. You don't have to be like viral or anything like that, but it's simply to be used as a business card so that people can essentially fact check you to make sure that you are who you say you are. They like how you like essentially build that like no trust. Have a website that's already converting for you. So it's already completing the action that you want people to do because adding advertising just basically adds a megaphone onto your website. So if your website is crap, if it's not converting, ads aren't going to fix that. What the recommendation would be is talk to a copywriter. And then the other thing is simply being able to have a budget. Like the lowest that you'd be looking to spend on a monthly basis is around $1,100 a month if you were to do it managed. So our fees are around $625 a month. Some of our clients come in with as low as $500 a month that they would put on in towards advertising. We get return for that. The difference is just having a really strong, tight strategy that speaks to exactly who you want to work with or connect with. But if you don't have those things, you should not be doing advertising. You should be killing off all of the free things, networking, getting out there, having an existing like Google business profile, all of those things before you decide to get into advertising because throwing money at a problem doesn't solve it. And it only exasperates it. And I also say to people that, like, if you're at a point where your business needs like a Hail Mary, don't run ads. That is not what we need. We don't need that energy. You need to be like able to feed your family and then consider running ads after that.
Of course.
Yeah. I have a clarifying question. So you said a website that works. How about a funnel? Because my clients come through my funnel. So not on my website, but like my lead magnet, and then there's a funnel behind.
So what's the final step before they can start working with you if they're going through a funnel?
The final step is for them to book a call.
And how do they book a call? Where is that
Uh,
hosted?
yeah, so when they download my free lead magnet, they get to my email list, and then inside of my email, they have the option to book a call.
Yeah. So you would have to have the book a call hosted on your website so that we would drive it that way. Or it could be like driving to an upper funnel action, such as your lead magnet. The challenge is, and this is one area where a lot of advertisers will still sell you on the beginning funnel, but I like to work with harder sales conversions. So if you were to build a website that had the product offering that you were trying to sell, that's where I would prefer to drive traffic to. And the reason being is that sometimes advertising can be expensive. And if we're driving to something, if you're paying money to drive to your funnel, but the funnel is only an email sign up, at the end of the day, the success of the campaign really relies on the strength of your funnel. And oftentimes it's hard for people to kind of see that value from running ads. So I would rather say we drive it down to a different point. So we take it outside of that funnel and do your advertising based on a sales landing page as opposed to going through these various steps because a lot of times people would turn around and say, hey, Britt, like I just paid $500 and I got like, 30 email subscriptions or whatever it might be. It's not really tangible to determine success, right? So when we're working with hard dollars, I tend to like to drive down further into like something that actually could result in money for you in a quicker time period. There's lots of other people that are big fans of working through like a sales funnel in terms of advertising, but for me, I just don't like taking people's money on like something that's not as secure of a sale.
Yeah, I love that you stressed that. But the reason I asked the question is because I'm in a like people buy when they form a relationship with me. So people don't well, most people don't buy on the first day they find me. So that's why I have that relationship funnel. So for example, people wouldn't find someone and then pay $5,000 for coaching, right? So that's why I have that relationship building funnel. But I hear what you say. So I could like create a course, for example, for $100, and then you can help run ads to that course, and then you have a hard target to help me hit. Is that what you're trying to explain?
Yeah, exactly. It's just like you can run. It's just more so I find that businesses don't always feel comfortable doing advertising. They think they are comfortable doing advertising when they're like, yeah, yeah, just drive it to my funnel. But then at the end of the day, it's harder to track the success of the advertising program as it's going through that full funnel. So oftentimes what happens is people that are trying to do that sales process end up getting frustrated, and because you can't easily say, oh well, we drove 50 people through your funnel, and then you'll go, yeah, but it was because I'm like really good at email marketing. It has nothing to do with you. So it devalues that service. And I think that that's where I don't like to play, because I don't like the ambiguity of like, well, it could be working, it could not be working, because it costs a lot of money to do advertising, right?
Yeah.
And I more so would prefer, and this is why I like to work with clients that are like, have something like what you're saying is like that lower tier offer that still gets people into the funnel, but at least I'm making you money back for your investment. And you can see that as a tangible value to your business. Because the biggest thing for me is like, I don't want to have to continually prove when I don't have data. And I like to have
Mm,
that data. So you're like, hell yeah, that's what's working.
mm.
There's other advertisers that will, but just over time, like I've worked with so many people that I don't want to have to tell you every month, hey Joy, no, we're actually really good at our job. We're doing the things. It's just like I'm past it. And it's harder to attribute that value.
Yeah, I love, love, love that so much. So if you help me make a return on my investment on the $100 product, then any addition I have in the back end is just icing on the cake, which is incredible.
And that's where it kind of comes into what some of my clients calls the money machine, because the goal is that over time, the cost that it would cost to get us to have that person convert gets lower and lower. So then you have that an incremental revenue that's coming in, and that allows you to reinvest in your business, increase your exposure. Like there's so many ways that you can find that reinvestment. And for me, I like to kind of help our clients to have that scalability that's created from running advertising programs.
Oh my gosh, I could go on for another hour. I love, love, love this conversation so much. Oh my gosh, thank you all so much. I am going to re-listen to this episode, I know, over and over, because you guys have shared so much on this show today. Thank you all so much. I'm going to go around. Just tell us any last words you want to leave with the audience. I'm going to start with Lani and then Yoanella.
Well, it has been a pleasure to be on this episode today. But if I were going to leave any last words, it really would be there is value in finding support. And I will say that, no one gets to sort of where they are without, whether it's consulting or some coaching or other people that can help them along the way. So I would be an advocate for that. And I would always say that if you have a goal, continue to work toward that goal. And to the extent that there's a day where you need to give yourself grace, but never lower your standard, because if that goal is important to you, tomorrow is a new day, tomorrow is a new opportunity. So really start to move forward, just taking one small step that will move you closer, and that will make a world of difference.
Oh gosh, thank you so much. Yoanella?
Thank you so much for having me. I have really enjoyed being with you and listening to these ladies that are so smart and learn about their journey. For me, some words for the people here in this podcast, and especially for women, is to believe in yourself. We are always self-doubting us, which is normal, but the more you do it, the more comfortable you're gonna feel in what you're doing. Take action and find a reason why you're doing what you're doing, and it's gonna happen for you, I'm sure.
Fantastic. Britt,
There's so many things, and you guys have already said so many great things. I'm like, cue motivational speaking point. I think that the biggest thing, as many of your listeners are probably entrepreneurs, my recommendation would be to understand that entrepreneurship comes in waves. And one day you could be having the best day ever, and you're like, this will never change. It's going to be like this forever. And then the next day, you're like, why am I doing this? I'm quitting. I'm going to go work at a coffee shop. My life is over. And I think that the lesson is that what goes up must come down, but it'll always come back up again. And just to, keep trying. If you were given the idea that you should be an entrepreneur, there's probably a reason for it. So don't give up on that, but understand that it is absolutely completely normal for it not to look like a perfectly straight line to the top. There's been, months where I've lost a $12,000 retainer client only to go the next day and sign a $76,000 client. So, there's
mm,
there's there's always more, and to just keep trying and to not give up. If you've been given the crazy of entrepreneurship, there's a reason for it.
mm, wow. This has been a masterclass in business. Thank you all so much. I am so grateful for your expertise, for your experience, and for being so generous with your gifts. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.